Shabbat Shalom. Oh, hello. I think every ancient people that have ever existed have venerated the moon. And how could you not? It's beautiful. Have you seen it lately? When it's at its fullest, it's big and bright, shining beacon in an inky black sky. And unlike the sun, too bright to behold, the moon is always accessible at the right time of the month. Yes, I believe all people whose roots are ancient love the moon. Much of the world actually keeps time by the moon, and the Jews are no exception. And even if you didn't know this fact, you actually did, because when do we light Shabbat candles, signifying the beginning of Shabbat? At sundown, at night. When do we do Kol Nidre, the beginning of Yom Kippur? Sundown, at night. You're not here during the day for Kol Nidre, you're here at night. When is your Passover Seder, which begins the holiday of Passover? It ain't lunch. So as Jews, our days actually begin at night when the sun is gone and the moon has begun her ascent. We keep time by the moon, not the sun. The new month then begins with the appearance of the new moon. There you go. So obviously as Jews, we have a whole other set of months too, different names and everything. And today, as it were, is a very special Shabbat. Shabbat's always special, of course, and you've got a very big reason to celebrate, but it's also on this very day, Rosh Chodesh, meaning it's the new moon and the new month. The month is also pretty important because the month that begins literally right now is the month of Adar. Oh, we all are a smart group. All right, I'm intimidated. Every single month, Jewish month, has its own kind of theme, a special Jewish value. And the month of Adar, the one we're in, is one of the most important commandments, you could say, of all the months, because the commandment for Adar is joy. Now you're thinking, I got this in the bag. That's easy, because who doesn't love joy, right? Gladness or happiness, fun, laughter. I love that stuff. Kind of seems like it's like the default human emotional desire is joy. We're all gunning for more of it. And yet, I think joy can actually be really hard. I think joy is a deceptively tough emotion to wrangle. Maybe because it seems like it should be so easy. Like, how could you not want more joy? But I think, even in normal circumstances, joy is a toughie, because you're busy, right? You've got school, you've got work, you got your job, right? It's all consuming. You got a family you have to care for, you have goals, you have aspirations that you're working towards all the time. We're all so busy. Joy, true, unrepentant, unmitigated joy, takes a back seat to those things that are more important, more productive. If we're wasting time on something as silly as joy, well, then how do we get all that other stuff done? And of course, we don't live in normal circumstances right now. Anti-Semitic incidences are up 300%, actually more than 300% since last year. 300! That's a number so big my brain can't even comprehend it. From college campuses to schoolyards to workplaces to internet comment sections to our very own streets here in Houston, to deny that it is more dangerous to be a Jew right now is to stick your head in the sand. And that won't save it. And of course, Israel, our ancestral homeland of our ancient people, a place we have indisputably lived for thousands of years until today, is in a fight for its very existence, beset by enemies from the west and the north. 136 men, women, children still do not rest freely on this Shabbat. There's no joy on this Rosh Chodesh Adar for them. And the majority of the world either doesn't care, outright denies it, or believes that it is well-deserved. And I can't decide which of the three of those is the least terrible option. So how, you may very rightly demand of me, how, Rabbi, am I to feel joy when my day-to-day life is consumed with day-to-day worries, work and school and kids and parents and chores and laundry and meals, yada, yada, yada. And in particular, now, Of all times, there are so many better, more important things to worry about right now than joy. How do I bring myself to care about that right now? Well, I'm glad you asked, because there's a very timely answer. And it's truly an astounding coincidence, if there is such a thing. It all comes back to the moon. Our ancient rabbis, 2,000 years ago, they were obsessed with the moon, obsessed. They just thought it was the coolest thing. Now, they would never tell you to worship the moon, God forbid, that would be idol worship. They would never say that. However, they thought the moon was pretty awesome. And they created a whole ritual to go outside and do at night, a few days after the new moon, so there's the barest sliver of it visible. And that's when the rabbis commanded, and this is literally a part of the ritual they created 2,000 years ago. They commanded we go outside and dance, and celebrate with special prayers they wrote for us to say under the faintest of moonlight, and celebrate monthly this most beautiful and sacred time. And the prayer they wrote for the new moon is what's fascinating to me. It's very unusual. I would say most of our prayers are, let's say, utilitarian. Not sterile, but they're to the point. You're praying over bread, over wine, you want rain. Okay, there you go. The new moon blessing it's almost poetry. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, whose word created the skies, whose breath created all they contain. To the moon God spoke. This is the words of the prayer. It's as imagining what God is saying to the moon. To the moon God spoke, renew yourself, crown of glory. For those who are born in the womb, that's us, are also destined to be renewed. Baruch atah Adonai mechadesh chodashim, blessed are you, Adonai, who renews the months. The wonder, the beauty, the miracle of the moon to our wise and ancient rabbis is that it is like us. We are modeled on it. It cycles. It waxes and it wanes. Sometimes the moon is big and bright and beautiful. It's radiant. And sometimes its light is stifled. And all we can see is the barest sliver, the faintest light. Sometimes in life, things are so very dark. But if the moon is to teach us anything, it's that over the course of time, there will be brighter and darker days. That is the very nature of life itself, immutable like the stars and the planets and the very moon in the sky. And still, no matter how bright or dark it is, we must praise, we must celebrate, we must sing, we must dance, and we must be joyful. Not, the rabbis teach, not when the moon is at its biggest and brightest and most beautiful, not when it's easy to celebrate and find joy. No. The rabbis teach we do that when the moon is barely visible, when we can just barely make out a remnant of its full glory. That is the most sacred, the most important time, the rabbis teach, to celebrate, to find joy. Those dark times are the ones we are commanded to seek joy the hardest. Now, this doesn't mean we think it's easy, but we wouldn't have to be commanded to do so if it was easy, would we? No matter how busy our lives are in general or how particularly tough the world seems right now, we are commanded to seek joy, Judaism teaches. In general, and now in particular, we must seek the joy during the struggle. We must seek the light in the dark. And if necessary, if we can't find it outside ourselves, we must find it within. We must be the light in the dark. So I wish you a Shabbat full of shalom, full of peace, a Chodesh Tov, a good month, and more joy than you can possibly imagine, because you need it. And God knows you deserve it. Shabbat shalom.